myself Afsha, English teacher at Elizabeth High School and Junior College. Welcome back to my class. In our previous class, we have already completed part A and B from unit 2 of class 7th. Now let us proceed towards the part C, that is Susruta, an ancient plastic surgeon. So it's a story of a person whose name is Susruta. He was an ancient plastic surgeon actually. Now let us proceed towards the lesson. It was midnight when Susruta was awakened by a frantic knocking at the door. So what happened one midnight we can say. Susruta was awakened by a frantic knocking at the door. Someone knocked his door. Who's out there? Asked the aged doctor, taking a lighted torch from its socket in the wall and approaching the door. So it is obvious, right? When someone knocks the door, immediately the person who is inside will try to find out who is on the other side. So he did the same thing. So he shouted, who is out there? He asked actually. He was an aged doctor actually. It means that he was very old person. He took out a torch which was on the wall and then he approached the door. I am a traveller, my revered Susruta, was the anguished reply. A tragedy has befallen me. I need your help. So what was the reply from the other person? I am a traveller. Right, and he was saying that tragedy has befallen on me, that is, I have come across with a tragedy, I need your help. Susruta opened the door. What he saw was a man kneeling before him, tears flowing from his eyes and blood from his disfigured nose. So when Susruta opened the door, what he found, there was one person who was sitting in front of the door, who was kneeling on his knees, and his eyes were full of tears because of pain and his nose was bleeding. Get up, my son, and come in, said Susruta. Everything will be alright, but be quiet now. So his nose was disfigured actually. He met with a great injury. So at first what Susruta did, he consoled him. He made him comfortable by saying that come in, sit inside and don't worry, everything will be alright. He led the stranger to a neat and clean room with the surgical instruments on its walls. He washed his face with water and the juice of medicinal plant. He then offered him a mug of wine and began preparing for the operation. So what happened now? He led the stranger to a neat and clean room. He made the stranger sit in a neat and clean room with the room which was full with surgical instruments hanging on the walls. It means that it was like a small operation theatre of Susruta. He washed the stranger's face with water and then with some medicinal juice. He then offered him a mug of wine. Why? What might be the reason? You will come to know it later. And began preparing for the operation. With a large leaf of a creeper bought from the garden, he measured the size of the stranger's nose. Taking a knife and forceps from the wall, he held them over a flame and cut a strip of flesh from the stranger's cheek. So what happened now? What he did, after giving him some wine, after offering him some wine, he then brought a leaf from a creeper, a large leaf from a creeper, right, from the garden. He then measured the size of the stranger's nose. Taking a knife and forceps from the wall, he heated those knives and forceps and all the instruments. Then he took out a flesh from the stranger's cheek. The man moaned, but the wine had humbled his senses. So just imagine the situation when someone is taking out flesh from your cheek. What will happen? You will be in deep pain, right? So that was the same situation with Susruta, with stranger. But the thing was, he was unconscious because he have drank a mug full of wine. The reason for which Susruta has given the wine was to make him unconscious. It was acting as an anesthesia. After bandaging the cut in the cheek, Susruta cautiously inserted 2 pipes into the stranger's nostrils and transplanted the flesh into the disfigured nose. So what happened now? After bandaging the cut in the cheek, first of all what he did, he took out some flesh from the cheek and then he bandaged that portion, and then he cautiously, means carefully, inserted 2 pipes in the stranger's nose and transplanted the flesh into the disfigured nose. Molding the flesh into the shape, he dusted the nose with powdered, liquorized red sandalwood and extract of Indian barberry. He then enveloped the nose in cotton, sprinkled some refined oil of sesame on it and finally put a bandage. So what happened now? After putting the flesh inside the nostrils, he molded the nose in a proper shape. then what happened? He sprinkled that nose. He dusted some powder like red sandalwood powder, licorice and Indian barberry and etc. That was acting as the medicines actually, dusting powders. He then enveloped the nose in cotton. He then rolled the nose into the cotton and he poured some refined sesame oil seeds, okay, sesame oil on it, and finally put a bandage. Before the traveler left, he was given instructions on what to do and what not to do, and a list of medicines and herbs he was to take regularly. He was also asked to come back after a few weeks to be examined. So, after performing that surgery, he sent off that strangers from his home back. So, before the traveler left from there, he was given the advice from Susruta what he had to do and what he is not supposed to do, and he was advised to come and meet him again after a few weeks. In this manner, Susruta mended a nose some 26 centuries ago, and what she did is not greatly different from what a plastic surgeon would do today. So, this took place before 26 centuries ago. Okay, just imagine 26 centuries means 1 century is equal to 100 years. So, like this 26 centuries ago only he performed plastic surgery. In fact, Susruta is today recognized as the father of plastic surgery. So, he is the father of plastic surgery. That is what the reason we are learning about him. It is the greatness of this personality. His treatise Susruta Smhita has considerable medicinal knowledge of relevance even today. It indicates that India was far ahead from the rest of the world in medical knowledge. Born in the 6th century BC, Susruta was a descendant of the Vedic sage Vishwamitra. So, he was the descendant of a Vedic sage whose name was Vishwamitra. Descendant in the sense follower. He learned surgery and medicine at the feet of Divodasa Dhanvantari in his hermitage at Varanasi. Later, he became an authority in not only surgery but also in other branches of medicine. He was the first physician to advocate what is today known as the caesarean operation. He was also an expert in removing urinary stones. See his greatness. So, he was the first physician to advocate what is today known as caesarean. He was the first person to perform caesarean operations, and he was also an expert in removing the urinary stones, the stones that will come in the urinary bladder. So, he was also expert in removing that. Locating and treating fractures and doing eye operations for cataract. See how much professional he was actually. He was not only specialized in one category but he was an all-rounder. His suggestion to give wine to patients about to be operated upon makes him also the father of anesthesia. So, as we have discussed earlier that he has given some wine to that stranger, right? So, and I have told you already that it was acting as an anesthesia, right? That will be given to the patients before performing any surgery. So, he is also considered as the father of anesthesia. In this treatise, Susruta listed 101 types of instruments. His Samadamsa yantras are the first forms of the modern surgeon's spring forceps and dissection and dressing forceps. So, he has listed 101 types of instruments actually. He was having the knowledge of 101 types of instruments. In fact, his system of naming surgical tools after the animals or birds they resemble in shape, for example, crocodile forceps, hawksbill forceps is adapted even today. So, he have also named some of the instruments actually based on the names of the animals, for example, crocodile forceps, hawksbill forceps and etc. So, these are adapted even in this present era. Susruta was also an excellent teacher. He told his pupils that one could become a good physician only if one knew both theory and practice. So, not only a good doctor but he was also a teacher, a good teacher we can say, because he always used to advise his students that a good physician is the one who is better at both theory as well as practical knowledge. He advised his pupils to use cases and models for practice before surgery. So, he also used to advise to his students that before doing any surgery, before performing any surgery, a person has to perform it on any models so that he can practice it well. So, this was a story of a great doctor, great physician, or we can say the father of plastic surgery, or we can call him as the father of anesthesia and etc. That is one and only Susruta. I hope you all have understood the lesson and I hope you all got inspired from him, right? And be proud that you belong to a country where he used to live. I hope you all have enjoyed and understood the fact. Let us continue in our next class. Thank you.